Graphing linear equations. The graph of a linear equation represents all of the solutions of the equation. An x-coordinate of the point at which a graph of an equation crosses the x-axis is called the x-intercept. The y-coordinate at the point where the graph crosses the y-axis is called a y-intercept. So we're going to do graphing using the x and y intercepts, and we're going to do graphing by using a table. The result will be a straight line. Example 1. Graph the equation 3x plus 2y equals 6 by using the x and y intercepts. Well, to find the x-intercept, let y equal 0 and solve for x. If y is 0, you have 3x equals 6. Divide by 3x is 2. So the x-intercept is going to be 2. For the y-intercept, let x equal 0 and solve for y. That's a 3 times 0, which is 0, leaving 2y equals 6. Divide by 2 and the y-intercept is 3. So you have the x-intercept at 2, the y-intercept at 3. Connect those dots and you have your line. Example 2. Graph the equation y minus 2x equals 1 by making a table. Well, the first thing you have to do when you make a table is make sure that the equation is solved for y. So you're going to have to add 2x to each side, and you get y equals 2x plus 1. Next, make your table. The first column will be your x values, and you should pick a set of points like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. A few on the left and a few on the right. Your second column is whatever y equals. In this case, y equals 2x plus 1. And in that column, substitute the x values that you chose for the x column. Work each of those out, and you get a set of y values. That gives you an x and a y, giving us 5 points. Plot each of those points and connect the dots, and now you have your line. Graph each equation by using the x and y intercepts. Number 1. 2x plus y equals -2. Well, for the x-intercept, remember it says to make y equal 0 and solve for x. So 2x plus not y, but a 0, and that equals -2. Now solve for x. 2x plus 0 is just 2x. That's 2 times x, so do the opposite and divide by 2. The 2's cancel on the left, leaving x. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So the x-intercept is -1. That's the coordinates -1, 0, because x is -1 when y is 0. For the y-intercept, make x equal 0 and solve for y. So 2 times 0 plus y equals -2. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus y is just y. And you're left with y equals -2. So the y-intercept is -2. That's the coordinates 0, -2, where x is 0 and y is -2. You have the intercepts. Now connect those dots, and there's your line. You always need 2 points to make a line, so use the x and y intercepts. For the x-intercept, make y equal 0, and for the y-intercept, make x equal 0. Now remember, the reason that works is because for the x-intercept, it's where the graph crosses the x-axis. Any point on the x-axis didn't go up or down any, so the y-coordinate has to be 0. For the y-intercept, that's on the y-axis, and you don't go left or right any on the y-intercept, and that's why x equals 0. That's why that works. It just makes sense. Number 2. 3x minus 6y equals negative 3. Find the intercepts. For the x-intercept, make y equal 0. So that gives you 3x minus 6 times 0 equals negative 3. 6 times 0 is 0. 3x minus 0 is still just 3x. Notice, the whole term with the variable y in it disappears. Equals negative 3. 3x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by that 3 to move it. The 3's cancel on the left, and negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. So negative 1 is the x-intercept. That's the point negative 1, 0. For the y-intercept, make x equal 0. 3 times 0 minus 6y equals negative 3. 3 times 0 is 0, leaving just negative 6y. Divide both sides by negative 6. The negative 6's cancel on the left, leaving y, and negative 3 divided by negative 6 is 1/2. So plot the y-intercept at 1/2, 0, 1/2. So we have the intercepts now. Connect those dots, and your line is drawn. Remember, for the x-intercept, make y equal 0, and for the y-intercept, make x equal 0. Number 3, negative 2x plus y equals negative 2. Use the x and y intercepts. For the x-intercept, remember, make y equal 0. So negative 2x plus y is 0 equals negative 2. Negative 2x plus 0 is just negative 2x. And that's negative 2x, so you have to divide by the negative 2, since it's negative 2 times x. So divide both sides by that, and x is 1. So the x-intercept is 1, the point 1, 0. When y is 0, x is 1. For the y-intercept, make x equal 0. Negative 2 times 0 plus y equals negative 2. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus y is just y. And that equals negative 2. For the y-intercept, and that's the point 0, negative 2. When x is 0, y is negative 2. Go ahead and connect those dots. Remember, for the x-intercept, make y equal 0 and solve. For the y-intercept, make x equal 0 and solve. Graph each equation by making a table. Number 4, y equals 2x. Start by solving the equation for y, and this one already is solved for y, so we can make the table now. Have an x column, a column for whatever y equals, which is 2x, and a y column. Have your x values go from negative 2 to positive 2. And then we'll substitute each x value in for the middle column and find out what y equals. For the first row, x is negative 2, so 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. The next row, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. The third row, 2 times 0 is 0. The fourth row, 2 times 1 is 2. And the bottom row, 2 times 2 is 4. So each time we're substituting in the x values and solving for the y value. Now I have a set of points. The top row has the point negative 2, negative 4 right there. The next one is negative 1, negative 2. I'm using the x value and the corresponding y value. The next row is 0, 0. The next one is 1, 2. And the bottom row, x is 2, y is 4. So that gives us our points. Connect the dots, and we have it. So again, make your x values, -2 to +2. Substitute into the equation, find out what y is, and then plot those points. -2, -4 is right there. -1, -2 is right there. 0, 0 is there. 1, 2 is there. And 2, 4 is there. Connect the dots, and you have your line. Number 5. X minus y equals -1. First, solve the equation for y. There's an x over there with the y. It's a positive x, so subtract it from both sides. X minus x is 0, leaving -y. And on the right you have -1 minus x. That's a -1y. Let's multiply both sides by -1 to make it a positive y. -1 times -y is positive y. On the right, distribute. -1 times -1 is positive 1, and -1 times -x is positive x. Remember, multiplying by -1 just changes all the signs. So now I know what y equals, and we need to make the table. Have an x column, a column for what y equals, which is 1 plus x, and then a y column. X goes from -2 to +2. Now substitute those x values into the middle column. One plus -2 is -1. 1 plus -1 is 0. Substitute each x value in. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 1 plus 2 is 3. So we substituted the x values in, and we got our y values. Now plot those points. The top row, -2, -1 is right there. The next row, x is -1, y is 0. The next row is 0, 1. The next row is 1, 2. And finally 2, 3. Connect those dots and you have your line. So again, substitute your x values in, using the x values from -2 to +2, and find out what y is. Plot those points. -2, -1 is right there. -1, 0 is right there. 0, 1 is right there. 1, 2 is there. And 2, 3 is there. Connect them and you have your line. Number 6, x plus 2y equals 4. We'll first solve for y. Get rid of what's added or subtracted first, and that's the x. That's a positive x, so subtract it from each side. X minus x is 0, so it cancels on the left, leaving 2y. And you simply have 4 minus x on the right. Now you have 2 times y, so do the opposite and divide both sides by 2. So y equals 4 minus x all over 2. So now make your table. You have an x column, a column of what y equals, which is 4 minus x all over 2, and then a y column. Now since we're dividing by 2 in the middle there, let's choose x values that would give us even numbers in the numerator so that when we divide by 2 we have integers. So let's just use even x values. -2, 0, 2, and 4. I'm just thinking ahead there. since I'm going to be dividing by 2, let's use even numbers because 4 minus an even number is even, and an even divided by 2 is an integer. Next, substitute the x values in. When x is negative 2, that's 4 minus negative 2 all over 2. 4 minus negative 2 is really 4 plus 2, which is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. When x is 0, 4 minus 0 all over 2. 4 minus 0 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. When x is 2, 4 minus 2 all over 2. 4 minus 2 is 2, divided by 2 is 1. And when x is 4, it's 4 minus 4, divided by 2. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. And now I can plot those points. The top row is negative 2, 3. The next row is 0, 2. Then 2, 1. And then 4, 0. Now I've got those points and I can connect the dots, and you've got your line. And again, those points came from negative 2, 3 is there, 0, 2 is there, 2, 1 is there, and 4, 0 is there. Solve for y, pick your x values. We could have used the regular x values, but we would have gotten decimals, which is fine. But I just wanted to make sure that they were all integers for us here. If you did it with other values and got decimals, you still would have gotten the same line when it was all said and done. So solve for your y's, plot the points, and connect the dots. So remember, for the graphing, when you graph using x and y intercepts, for the x-intercept, make y equals 0 and solve for x. For the y-intercept, make x equals 0 and solve for y. Plot those 2 points and connect the dots. When it says graph to make a table, solve for y and make a table. A column of x values, which most of the time goes from negative 2 to positive 2. The middle column is whatever y equals, and you'll substitute those x values into that column. When you work that out, you get your y column. Plot those points and connect the dots.